Maria, there you are. Hello.
Oh, nice to see you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Not too bad for a wet Friday morning.
Yes, very wet. Although just as you entered the Zoom, the sun has come out for me. So it's like,
Yes, I
here's
love that.
Avril.
I've been looking for some positive symbolism today. So
There you
the
go.
sunshine coming through is perfect, just as we are about to do our chat.
Can you just give us a quick intro to who you are and what you do?
Who am I? This has got to be the $64 million question. I try so hard to answer this for other people, but when it comes to yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, let's have a go though. So yeah, I'm Avril Price. I am a tutor and consultant at the College of Psychic Studies. I have been there for a very long time, and actually I feel very lucky to be able to say that the college is a real stalwart in the field of esoteric and spiritual studies. And that's essentially what I do. I teach spiritual studies with tarot. Tarot was my first passion. I mean, I've been working with tarot for over 35 years.
Wow.
And I've got to say, I'm never bored. I can honestly say that sometimes think, oh, have I really got to do this? But I never get into that space. There's always something to learn or to encounter. And of course, the people that you meet, like colleagues, clients, students, participants, um,
Yeah.
and in the community in general, they always bring something of great value and interest.
Tarot really is. It's like the gift that keeps on giving. It's amazing. And to have worked with it for so long and still, I don't know, still find new things in it, I imagine.
It's still fresh,
Yeah.
and it's when I discuss this with the groups, it's the excitement of having all these rabbit holes, and there's so many different kind of modalities that you can use with tarot, whether it's fortune telling and divination, whether it's the psycho-spiritual self-discovery stuff, which is what I tend to lean towards, whether it's tarot history and whether it's working with numbers and symbols, healing with tarot and mediumship with tarot. I mean, it's just infinite.
I like what you're saying about rabbit holes, because hopefully this tarot weekend is going to satisfy some of those rabbit holes, because we're approaching tarot from a lot of different directions, I think, with all the different speakers we have.
And I think what I love about that is I really feel that we're doing tarot a service. It's not tarot being of service to us. We're actually paying back something to the wisdom of tarot and the spiritual path working that it is. And there are so many different speakers bringing something to the table and it's geared towards you expanding your knowledge, expanding your insight, not only into how tarot works as a spiritual schemata, but also into looking at the world through a new lens. Because I think tarot really does that very well, is that it enables us to see the world through different perspectives.
Can you just tell us about how your tarot journey began and maybe how has it evolved over time?
I suppose tarot came physically into my life when I was 23, and I was gifted my first deck, which was a Spanish version of the Marseille deck. And I instinctively knew I'd got my hands on something really great. And with hindsight, looking back, that really was quite a gift that I was given. This deck of cards, because I kind of instinctively knew that me and these cards were going to go on a journey. Little did I know just how expansive and how epic this journey was going to be. So there I was with these tarot cards that took me very young. And it started out as fun, really, oh, what does this mean? What does that mean? So I had these cards, and I don't know if you're familiar with the Marseille deck, but you know, the major arcanas are instantly recognizable, as is the court cards, but the pit cards are just simply what they are: swords, wands, pentacles,
Yeah.
and cups. So I kind of learnt the hard way, really. There was no pretty pictures for me. But I think that I'm glad about that in a way, because it really, I learned to really resonate with the cards. And it had to be experiential in order for it to make sense. So, you know, if a girlfriend split up with a boyfriend, it'd be like, you know, let's have a bottle of wine and a chocolate cheesecake. Let's get the cards out. And is he coming back? You know, that seems to be, you know, grist for the mill when you're starting out. It's these everyday questions that people ask. Which is very human, isn't it? Really, you know. Am I going to get that job? Am I going to move house?
Yeah.
And these are real cold-faced questions, but it's that where you get your learning as to how the cards can interact in the warp and the weft of everyday life.
Yeah. And then over time, you start to realize that it's actually a much deeper tool than that.
Exactly. Exactly. But you need to start somewhere. And then, of course, you know, with those kind of experiences, you build up your own relationship to the cards. So you've got the traditional meanings, you know, you've got the standard meanings, which I think is a very important place to start. But you kind of build on that through your own nuances, through your own life experiences. So you're adding dialogue as you go along. So in a way, tarot is kind of an instrument of the collective. So you've got the, you know, the symbols which resonate with the collective consciousness, but then you kind of add into it through your own life experiences. I'm really pleased we're having this symposium. Obviously, I'm more than pleased, I'm delighted. Because one of the things that I try and do when I teach tarot is to bring lots and lots of different things in, particularly at the advanced level, when people have got their toolbox together and things are beginning to fall into place and make kind of tarot sense. So, for example, this coming term, we're working with the imagination and intuition, and how the two are connected, and how important it is to kind of value your imagination. It's a really important human tool. And again, tarot is really excellent at triggering off the imagination and kind of inspiring stories, because that's essentially what we do when we read tarot. We're putting together a story. So that's what we're going to be doing this term, is looking at how to value the imagination. Because a lot of people say, oh, I've read the cards, and or I've connected, I've got psychic information here and so on. I don't know if it's my imagination. And I think that's absolutely your imagination. It's the playground of the divine. And that's what tarot is. Tarot is the playground of the divine, using the symbols and the pictures to kind of show a construct of your inner life.
If someone is, I guess, curious about tarot now, maybe they're just starting on their tarot journey, or they're thinking about it, what advice would you give to that person?
Find yourself a good teacher, not necessarily about someone who can guide you, but someone who can bear witness to the beginning of your journey. And it's very important, I think, to have people to bounce off as you come out with these ideas and these concepts, because I think spirituality, whatever your modality, is going to bounce you out into the ether. And for me, it's about having a very grounded approach to spirituality, to reading the symbols, to understanding your own psychic nature and the impressions that you have to work with. So if to work with groups or to work with a good teacher, I think is fundamental to the beginning of your journey. Don't shy away from understanding the meaning of traditional symbols. What we've got to understand is that the world, whatever your walk in life, whatever your creed, whatever your culture, the world speaks to us symbolically. Everything is a symbol. And whoever we are and wherever we are, we naturally read those symbols automatically without even thinking. And that's how we comprehend the environment we inhabit, the greater world that we live in. And language is symbolic. letters and words are symbolic, numbers are symbolic, everything. But what tarot does is it makes you an adept at that. And so it takes the symbolism into deeper consciousness, if you like. And what that does then, in effect, is it mirrors back your own inner reality, which is your true reality, because the world we live in is something that's been created from our own inner, in our own internal landscape. So understanding symbolism is not necessarily about being all academic or being all esoteric. It's just taking what you already know to another level. And essentially what I think you have to be prepared for, because tarot isn't for the faint-hearted, because it will mirror things back to you about yourself that may not be comfortable sometimes, but hopefully ultimately will be a joy. And I don't want to make it sound like a boot camp, because for me, it's just wonderful. I think for me, self-discovery is the real spirituality, because once you know yourself, you know the world. Don't shy away from understanding the symbols, because people say, oh, I should read the cards intuitively. Well, you're already doing that, but with structure and some insight into how symbolism works in tarot can take it to a completely new level, which challenges your conditioning perhaps. It encourages the growth of your consciousness. It's naturally expansive and can be a game changer for a lot of people.
So your talk is about symbolism. It's called Hidden Symbolism in the Rider Waite Smith Deck. So can you just tell us what your talk is going to address and what you hope people would take away from it?
Well, ultimately, what I'm hoping people would take away from it is to see that the Rider Waite Smith Deck is more unique than perhaps it first appears. The Rider Waite Smith Deck was not meant to be as ubiquitous as it has become. It's actually a ceremonial deck. It's stuffed full of symbolism from lots of different philosophies, from the Kabbalah to Rosicrucianism, to Freemasonry, to Babylonian and Egyptian. There's so much packed in there. And I suppose the inspiration for it was because people can be very flippant about certain, because, oh, this means I'm going to get married, or this means I'm going to, be moving abroad. But there's so the inflection of those symbols as a relationship to your own psyche is huge. And so my interest and what I want to impart to the people is that how the cards actually show the brilliance of the Rider Waite Smith deck, how composite it was. That, Pamela Coleman Smith and Arthur Edwin Waite were like this dream team. That Pamela Coleman Smith, in her skill set, was able to kind of put together all these different meanings. And Arthur Edwin Waite, and his great knowledge of esotericism, and how we worked as a form of communication. A lot of people don't understand kind of like even the tiniest little symbols. It's like the snail in the Nine of Pentacles. That's a reference to King Lear.
Really?
Really. And in the Two of Cups, the winged lion is Mithraic in its origin, but it also encompasses Ishtar and her representation of love, sex, and war. So suddenly we've got a completely new meaning to those cards by understanding those symbols. It's about encouraging people to take the meanings beyond the superficial and the flippant, and to really be interested in how and why this deck was created, and how it still continues to contemporize itself, and how magical it can be.
Oh, I'm really looking forward to the talk. I'm looking forward to the whole weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. We really do have a fabulous lineup of people who are really going to bring something amazing to the table. And I'm really looking forward to kind of inspiring people to pick up their deck and look at it again, and perhaps, you know, and taking their journey to a whole new level.
Thank you so much, Avril. It's
No,
a
thank you,
pleasure.
Maria. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and lots of love to you.
You too.